Welcome to the GlideFast tutorial video, and my name is Bradley Frank. I am a technical consultant for GlideFast. The topic will be about the advanced guided tools with conditions. This video continues from a basic guided tool tutorial video. If you have not created a guided tool and want to learn how to, please check out the GlideFast video on YouTube called How to Use ServiceNow Guided Tool Designer. These slides will be short and sweet because I will mainly demonstrate the step after several slides. I will briefly go over these slides, including why I'm adding conditions in the guided tool and what pre-requirements are for you to prepare to follow my tutorial guide. Why add conditions to the guided tool and why do I want to show you how to do it? Here is the perfect scenario when I've worked with my client. My client wants to create a self-guided tool for vendors who are new to ServiceNow or are unsure of what to do in case needed. I created a guided tool provided by ServiceNow out of the box. Everything looks nice, but one thing irritated us and doesn't make sense. Guided tool appears whenever the user enters the form or the page. There is no control over when or where the guided tool should appear. ServiceNow does not have that out-of-the-box condition for that, but fear not, there is a solution for that. We will need to create two strips to make this work, and I will show you how to during the demo. ServiceNow does not have a technical document to show you how to build a guided tool strip. However, they do offer the API guided tool document that you can find in browser. The pre-requirements of these tutorial videos are that you have already built a guided tool and are ready to go to the next level by adding conditions to it. I will not be showing how to create a guided tool. If you have not created a guided tool and do not know how to, please search on YouTube under GlideFast how to use ServiceNow Guided Tool Designer. Also, you should have good experience with JavaScript to understand how that works and need to have access to CounterScript and Strip Include. It's demo time! I will demonstrate how to create two strips to add conditions in guided tool for my personal instance. What you see now on my screen is my ServiceNow personal instance. I'm in the customer service management scope. If you are in the different application scope, that's fine because that doesn't affect it. As you see, I random enter as case seated, and then, boom! The guided tool appeared for no reason. The guided tool accepts only the period in the case form table but has no control without the condition. If you are in the incident form request form material, it should be the same except for different tables. So I'm going to go ahead and close the guided tool. And then remove myself from override so I have to deal with that later. Now, I'm going to head over to click 3-line item border icons. Then configure it, and then CounterScript. Then click New, and the fun part starts. Fill out the script name. I'm going to probably type like this. And then make sure you set the UI top type to all, and the type is unknown. And make sure that the table that you want the strip to trigger on the guide tool, like right now I'm using the case, so if you want to use an incident, use an incident table. Same thing for request table. So now I'm going to do the case table. And time to do the coding. Inside the function unload, the first step is to create an if statement for the condition. If return the value, I want the guide tool to appear if the case state is awaiting info and the assignment is from software support. I'm going to add these two to the if statement. 18, so 18 would be the value for a rating in 4. And then plan, assignment group, and then we need to get the system ID, the assignment group. So I need to get my group ID, copy. The next step, if the conditions are met, you want to check if the current user has already used a guided tool by checking the guided tool override table. I will need to create a guide object to call the strip include to check the user and the guided tool override table. So I'm going to add the code in there. New guide object. Probably this one will need to get the name of a strip include I'm going to call. We'll do that later. So I'm going to leave that blank for now. LGA, add parameters, system parameters, and then this is the function that I want to call in the strip include. I will just going to put down the overwritten tools for user, and add another one, and system parameter user ID user ID, and then want some function I want to call provide. So as you can see, I have a true parameter by adding name and the current user ID, and then call function. Now let's save the strip. Remember, the new name of the strip includes that you will create it. Remember the name because that name will have to match the one I'm going to fill out the blank. So keep that in your mind. Now I'm going to head over to the strip include and click new. So click on strip include, click new. So I'm going to fill out the name. So I'm going to just put down get overwritten tools for user. I'm going to show you chatbot planner callable and accessible from all application scope. And then we call it attention on. So I'm going to save it. Before we go on, let's copy the API name that you don't need to pay over to the client strip. I'm going to paste it right there and save it. It's very important to remind that needs to match. I'm going to head back to strip include. Now, in the strip bot, I'm adding the function name that matches the system parameter name that I typed from a client strip. So the name will be the overwritten tool for user function. So you can see the overwritten tool for user. The overwritten tool for user, about the same. Awesome. Now I add a system parameter for user ID that will be passing from a client strip. Then create a glide record to call a guided tool override table. So let's get to that. User ID. This get parameter. System parameter user ID. And then create a new glide record. So the table for override guide tool will be system guide tool user override. And create a new variable. Then add a query. User ID. And add another query. True. I'm going to show you how your own tool that you created. You want to make sure you copy the system ID of your tool and paste into there. So I have my own system ID. So tool ID will be this. I'm going to copy and paste it over to here. Then I add a while loop to search. While net. When the query finds a vector, I want to get a value from a column called disable autolens that had a true or false value. Disable autolens managed to disable that will not show a guide true when the user has already used it. Data vector disable autolens. So if the value is true, it prevents the guided true from appearing. If it is false, then the guided true will appear. So I'm going to have allow code to return data. Save the script. Let's head back to the unknown kind of script. Create a function that does true for the check override for the callback from the script include. Function check override respond, then variable ensure respond XML document element bit attribute ensured. Then I will create an if statement to check if the answer is true. Do not show the guided true, else show the guided true. So I'm going to go ahead and create an if statement. If ensured true. Skip the guided true. Else. An else statement, I'm going to type a guided true API, and that start true will make the guided true appear. Top noun guide true API start true. Let me copy and paste of our system ID of our guided true and paste in here. As you can see, the number 0 is the guide step of a tool, which is the introduction. If you put number 1, the number 1 will start instead of an introduction. Now I'm going to add more code when the user is done with the tool. It will automatically add the user to the disabled override tool to prevent it from showing up again. I'm going to go ahead adding the guide address again with the same script including name. Variable, number 2, new project. I'm going to copy this and paste it. Then project 2, parameters, system parameter, name. So the name that I want to call and this should include would be insert override true. And true, parameter, system parameter, user ID. So the current user. And add the third one. System parameter true ID. I'm going to copy this system ID of a true R and paste into it. These two are what you need to insert a new vector and the ID true for the user ID and the true ID. Let's do a few more lines of code before we go back to strip include. We'll need to write a code to allow a user to dismiss the guided true to prevent it from popping up again. We will need to add the set interval function. So the set interval function. Good. Then add any if statement. Wait, hold on, maybe add something before I forget. So that would be comment 2000 semicolon. There you go. Now back into this. Then add an if statement with the guided true API to check if the user dismissed the true one. So the if statement, top now guided true one, API true one dismiss. This is actually the API for when the user clicks dismiss. Then when you dismiss, click now, guided true API and true. So when you dismiss, that it actually close the true and cleared interval. It looks like we're done with the kind step. So let's save it. Let's head back to the script to do one last thing to add. In the script include, we will need to add code to insert a new record that the user has already used a guide to, and it will need to put the current user in the disabled list to prevent from auto-entering them. Let's create a function called insert override true that matches from a kind of strip. Insert override true function. I'm going to add two important values that we pass from a kind strip, user ID and true ID. So variable user ID, this parameter, system parameter, user ID that matches from a kind strip, and then create a true ID. System parameter, true ID, the same name as from a kind strip. Then add a new glide vector to call the guided true override table. Variable supported new glide vector. And then copy this and paste it. Then add some lines to insert some data as a new record. I will need to add user ID, and disable auto length to true. So record initialize record true ID record user ID record disable auto length true record insert. I think we're done with the strip. So I'm going to save it. Let's verify if the condition worked. I'm going to impersonate myself to a different user. Remember, I'm impersonating myself as a regular user using a group of software support that are adding condition. I'm impersonating myself as Jody Shields. I'm going to the case seated with a safe that is not awaiting information where the guide tool should not appear. Oh, I forgot to disable the auto length. 1 moment. And impersonated. This is where I'm supposed to disable this. That way it will not work. That's the one thing that I need to remember. Make sure that the auto length is turned off. So uncheck that. And make sure we remove Jody Shield from the list. Alright, so let's try it in. Personal user, Jody Shield. Are you ever see the case? Let's see if it will appear or not. And seeing that there's no guide to it, that's what we expect, right? Because the state is new, and then assignment group is something else. So no guide to it, that's what we want, right? Awesome. That's what we're expecting. Now, I will find the case with the state that is awaiting for, and the assignment group is software support. Let me hit that. I'm gonna do the case numbers. Click on that. The state is waiting for assignment group software support, so we expect the guide tool to show up. There you go. Now it show up. Pretty neat, right? That is all from a strip. As you can see, go down and sign myself. That's good. That's nice. That's all I have for the tutorial for this video. There are some more you can add to this strip for more control. I mainly focus on adding conditions. Thank you for watching this video, and I do hope this condition is handy for you. Have a wonderful day.